Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap Greenleaf Season 2, Episode 5, which was titled Point of No Return. And guys, I've tried to get caught up on all my videos today, so this is like the third or fourth video that I have done today. So the show opens with Grace trying to sneak into the house at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and Sophia catches her. And I'm thinking like, nothing worse than coming in late at night and your children catch you and think that they have the right to question you as to what you're doing out that late. So Jacob and Kerissa have a power outage at the house, and they seem to be having a lot of problems at that house. And so Kerissa doesn't want Jacob calling this guy named Stan, who actually is like the handyman over at the Greenleaf estate, about the issues that they're having at the house. And then Basie Skanks calls to let Jacob know that Calvary has filed an injunction to stop construction of Triumph 2. So Jacob says that, he's on his way to the church so they can talk about it. And Skanks tells Jacob, no, meet me over at Calvary because we're going to deal with this right here and now. So Skanks and Jacob arrive at Calvary, and Skanks is sashaying through the hallways like he owns the place or something. Like, he is just so flamboyant and over the top that it is ridiculous. So he tells the bishop that they are there until the matter is resolved, and so the bishop tells them to post up because it's going to be 28 days before this is over and done with. Lady Mae is taking Aaron on a tour of his suite at the Greenleaf estate, and so she tells him that she can't understand how Jacob found it so easy, to move out when they had everything there, the lake, the balcony, and all this other good stuff, the maids to wait on them. And so Lady Mae is concerned that if Calvary fails, that they will have to sell the place. So all she's worried about is losing her house. So Charity is fussing over the baby after learning that he may have some type of virus. So Charity asks Kevin if he can watch the baby while she goes to meet with Jabari because, she doesn't want to leave him alone. And Kevin is anxious to work out the details of their separation, so he says, yes, I'll watch him. And then Charity says, she'll take him that afternoon so then Kevin can go to work. At the church, Charity is blushing all over Jabari, just flirting, and so obvious that she wants this man. So he suggests to her that she sign with his publishing company because she's too gifted to let her talents go to waste, singing in the church choir. So Jabari is returning home and won't be back until the release party of the single. And remember, she's doing the record to raise money for the church, and so the release is going to be in 3 weeks, and that's how long he's going to be gone. So the two engage in a very weird embrace that is interrupted by Lady Mae. So it wasn't just like they hugged each other, but they hugged each other, and then Jabari like laid his head on Charity's shoulder like he was a baby or something, which still takes me back to I think Jabari might be gay. But he is going to lead Charity on because he really wants her to sign with him. And, she's a really good songwriter, so he wants to sell her music. So I think that's just going to be a little plot down the road with the two of them. So Lady Mae lets Jabari know, via her body language that she does not approve of what she just witnessed. So after Jabari leaves, Charity lets Lady Mae know that her and Kevin are divorcing. And Lady Mae lets her know that you can be in marriage, but once you break it, then it's a loss. And so she recommends to Charity that she and Kevin should sit down with the bishop and, with her and the bishop and talk about what's going on and see if they can't work things out. Before leaving, Lady Mae also lets Charity know that no parent wants sadness for their child, and that is true because there's nothing worse than your child hurting and going through something and then you can't fix it. Grace is set to perform her first wedding as Sophia accuses her of having Darius as a friend with benefits. And so Grace lets her know that they were up talking about how to put Mike away for good, that it had nothing, to do with anything sexual or them building a relationship. And she lets Sophia know, because I think Sophia was kind of like why is she so consumed with the whole Uncle Mac thing, and why don't she let it go? And she lets her know that she has to get Uncle Mac off the street to protect other girls and to protect her, because we know Uncle Mac has no boundaries. So Darlene comes in to let Grace know that the couple whose wedding she will be presiding over is in her office. And as they are walking off, they joke about Sophia's newfound religion, and Darlene warns her that new converts think that they know it all and will be trying to, preach to you on what's right and what's wrong. So we know Grace has already experienced that. So Grace asks Darlene if she talked to Vita about testifying against Uncle Mike, but Darlene says that Vita wants to leave what happened in the past and get on with her life. So in her office, Grace is listening to the couple bicker about everything from what school their unborn children will attend, will they be raised Baptist, what will their views be on gay rights, and just a whole bunch of stuff that was really irrelevant at that moment because they don't even have any kids and not expecting any kids. So Grace asks if they can postpone the discussion until after the wedding rehearsal, which is in 6 minutes. Now, wedding rehearsals usually take place the night before the wedding, so I'm not understanding why these people haven't already gone through wedding counseling and sorted out all these issues that are now popping up. Like, why are they just now talking to Grace the night before the wedding? I don't know. So at the wedding rehearsal, Grace tells the couple to recite their vows. So we learned that the guy's name is Preston and the bride-to-be name is Simone. And so he says that he doesn't mind reciting his vows, but his vows. So he says he doesn't have a problem reciting his vows, but he doesn't want Simone to ridicule him and pick them apart. So Simone becomes upset and accuses Preston of not being sincere and taking the marriage serious. And so she breaks down and runs away. So in her office, Simone says that she wanted the bishop to preside over their wedding, not Grace. And that she asked Grace, how much of a real Christian is she that she could just walk away from the church like it's nothing. And when Grace offers to explain, she tells her to save it, that it doesn't matter, that, this whole wedding thing isn't working out because when her sister got married, that the bishop, presided over their wedding, and I'm sure he probably did some wedding counseling and all that stuff. So she feels like she's not getting that same kind of treatment, so she just wants to call off the wedding. And she gives Preston back the rings and she walks out. So Preston, you may have dodged a bullet on this one. The bishop goes to see Aaron to let him know that Skanks and Jacob have invaded his office, and Aaron recommends that ignoring them could be the best thing because according to his daddy, the devil can't stand to be ignored. And let's stick a pin here for a brief second, because throughout the entire episode, we kept going to Aaron in that damn office trying to record his voicemail message, and he could never get it right. So it was like the bishop went to see him, Lady Mae went to see him, I think Jacob went to see him. No matter who walked into that office, he was trying to record that message, the greeting for the voicemail. And Aaron, I feel you, because it takes me forever to record a voicemail message. And hell, now on my phone, I don't even have messages, just whatever the factory setting in where it gives your phone number and tell you to leave a message. So back in the bishop's office, Skanks is trying to get the password to the Wi-Fi. Like, he said that like it's his damn office. So while rallying Jacob to fight for his church, he's like, well, what is the Wi-Fi? Do you know what the password is? So when the bishop walks in, Skanks asks him for the Wi-Fi password. I'm like, you are so bold. So Lady Mae walks in to speak with the bishop and mentions that Stan told her something about the hot water heater at Jacob's house not working, and that, he had to go and fix it. So after Lady Mae and the bishop walk out, Skanks asks Jacob about the hot water heater, but he dismisses it as not being an issue. And actually, I think when Lady Mae came in to get the bishop, it was Jacob she was talking to, and she was telling him that she had talked to Stan, and Stan told her about their hot water issue. Out in the hallway, Lady Mae reminds the bishop of his deacons meeting and tells him that Jacob and Skanks need to be gone by the time those people arrive, or the Fred Williams or Fred Johnson, whatever his last name is, that, you know, if he finds out what's going on and what they've done, he's not going to be happy at all. So she then fills him in on Charity and Kevin. And so, of course, the bishop is shocked because he thought that they had worked everything out since Kevin had moved back into the house. Lady Mae says that she is sure it has something to do with Jabari, as she's concerned that a scandal is going to erupt and that they need to do something about this, because she doesn't know what Kevin and Charity are capable of putting out there, because neither one of them have any control. But I think Kevin has some control. It's your daughter Charity who's out of control and just all over the doggone place. Back in the bishop's office, Jacob is ready to leave, but Skanks wants to talk. So he shows Jacob a picture of his dad and shares that before his dad died in the fire, he had signed him up for baseball and that he played shortstop. And I think Jacob said that he used to play first base. And then Skanks is telling him about how he had came in the room one day and the baseball uniform and the glove and all of that was laying on the bed. And then he describes the morning when his mother came in and told him that his dad had been killed the night before in the fire. So the bishop comes in and asks them to meet with him in the conference room. Oh, and then back to, okay, so now I'm thinking that Basie Skanks' mom and the dad were not married, because remember the bishop kept trying to figure out where did this boy come from, because the Darrell Green and his wife only had daughters. So the guy must have been having an affair with Skanks' mom, which explains why he didn't know Jacob already, that he's just now meeting Jacob. So that kind of makes sense. So the bishop comes in and asks them to meet him in the conference room. And so Skanks believes that they have him where they want him. But the bishop goes to get Aaron, and when he tells him, you know, what he needs, Aaron asks, what is the game plan? And then the bishop looks at him, well, fool, that's what you here for. But he tells him that whatever it takes to get them out of his church. So in the conference room, Lady Mae and Jacob, you know, they have some time alone. And she lets Jacob know that she has been paying Stan for all the repairs that he's been doing at the house that they're staying in, and that she expects in return that he will end the standoff and, you know, be grateful and get Skanks and get gone. The bishop, Aaron, and Skanks, they enter the conference room because I guess Skanks had went to use the bathroom or something. So Aaron proposes that if Skanks and Jacob leave, that the church would be willing to withdraw the injunction in 7 days and enter into arbitration. Skanks call his bluff and let him know that he's not as dumb as he thinks he is, and tells him that by the time they do all that and get to arbitration and mediation and whatever else Asian, that the 28 days and then some would have come and gone. So Jacob interjects and calls his father out for what happened when the church burned down, and he says that in the night of the fire that him and Skank both lost their fathers, that it just took him a longer time to find out. And then Jacob gets up to leave, but decides to warn Aaron about trying to stop God's work, and that it's God's will that they build that second church. And Lady Mae tries to intercede, but Jacob goes off on her, letting her know that, I mean, Jacob was on a roll, so I had to write all this stuff down and get it right for y'all. So he said that all these years when she took his side, she still had her hands in the bishop's pocket. So, you know, her love and concern was just fake, because she was just doing whatever it was going to take to keep that lifestyle that she was living. And then he also lets them know that God doesn't hate his children, pointing the finger at Lady Mae because she hates Grace, and that they would mourn the day that they could have pried him. Instead, they pitied him. And so he says he now pities them because they can't raise him any longer or any higher, but he's still going to grow up and go up. So I was like... So Basie Skanks declares the sit-in is over and follow Jacob out. And so in the hallway, Grace comes out to see, you know, why they are there, because I know it was killing her all this time to know that they was there and nobody had came and told her what was going on. So Grace tells Jacob that he's being very childish, so she had to feel the wrath of Jacob, because he still had a little bit left over for Miss Grace. So he calls her out and tells Grace that she should be thanking him for not hating her after she came home stealing his life from under him. So she needs to check herself and get out his face. You go, Jacob. So Lady Mae lets Aaron know that Charity and Kevin may be divorcing and that they may need his help because she don't need no scandals breaking out. She don't need no mess. She needs this thing to be amicable and kept quiet. So at the house, Kevin is reassuring baby Nathan that he will never leave him. And he makes his way to the church, and Aaron calls him to let him know that he heard about the divorce and lets Kevin know that he wants to help any way that he can, and that once he finds a lawyer, to have the lawyer get in touch with him, and that, you know, they're going to work this thing out. So at first I was thinking Aaron trying to get with Kevin, which I just think it's just a whole lot of gayness going on here. But now I'm thinking that Aaron is going to be working on behalf of Lady Mae to make sure that whatever comes from this divorce doesn't blow up in their face and cause a problem at the church. So the bishop goes into the deacons meeting and announces that after the fall revival that they are now in the black, and he also shares that Aaron has come on board and is helping to stop Triumph for building the new church across the street. Tasha shows up at Kerissa and Jacob's house, and she's wearing like this bedazzled denim jumpsuit, and she's carrying a toolbox, and she says she's there to check the electricity. So Kerissa is annoyed that Tasha is downplaying the issues at the house, but Tasha, you know, she's acting like she knows what she's doing, and she's telling Kerissa what she shouldn't do, you know, to keep the power from going out. And Carissa's like, okay, I should be able to run the heater and the microwave at the same time without my power going out. So Tasha tells Kerissa that now is not the time for them to be spending extra money on the houses. And Kerissa is like, you know, what do you mean? And so she's kind of like going off like they deserve to have the same accommodations as anybody else, and she doesn't think that she's asking too much. And then Kerissa starts talking about how Tasha treats her as though she thinks that she's better than everybody else, but Kerissa says that, you know, she doesn't think she's better than everybody else. She is just an upset homeowner who wants everything in her house to be working. You know, it's bad enough she had to leave the Greenleaf estate, you know, and downgrade to this house, so the least thing they could have some hot water and some electricity. So Tasha breaks down and tells Kerissa that Triumph is in financial trouble, and Kerissa, you know, gets them some coffee and lets down her guard, you know, so now they're talking and laughing and getting along better. And Tasha reveals that Skanks is spending a lot of money and she doesn't know where the money's coming from, and that he's involved in a lot of side deals that she thinks, you know, may blow up in his face. And so she says that she will find the money to get the house repaired and do whatever, you know, they need to do, because I think she really likes Kerissa and Jacob and believes that they can kind of mellow her husband out. So that night, over a candlelight dinner, not by choice, but by force, you know, because they don't have no power, Kerissa lets Jacob know that an electrician is coming the following day to rewire the entire house. And she also lets him know that Tasha shared information about the financial dealings at Triumph. Over at the Greenleaf estate, Lady Mae goes up to see Aaron with coffee and homemade grapefruit pound cake that she says that his mom used to make all the time. So Aaron, you know, he tastes the cake and he's, you know, savoring the flavor. It says that he loves it. So have y'all ever heard of the grapefruit pound cake? I'm gonna have to look that up and see if it's a real thing and like exactly what does it taste like. So when Lady Mae prepares to leave, Aaron lets her know that he will never tell anyone about her and his father's affair. So now we know that Lady Mae tipped out on the bishop, and she must have tipped that on him like long after their marriage, that Aaron remembers the affair and knows everything that went down. So I don't know if Aaron was a teenager, if he was an adult, or what was going on, but he lets her know that her secret is safe with him. So the show ends with Sophia letting Grace know how her class went and asks if she can attend Simone and Preston's wedding as part of her homework assignment. And Grace lets her know that the wedding was canceled, but she can't say why because it's confidential, and plus it's a long story. And so Sophia offers to pray for them, but Grace says that prayer won't do any good. And then Sophia then offers to pray for her mother because she says a pastor who doesn't believe in the power of prayer needs prayer. You got that right, Sophia, because now we know why that woman, Simone, didn't want Grace presiding over her wedding, because she knew that Grace got some spirits up in her and she didn't want that on her wedding. But then it ended up tinging her wedding anyway because she lost her mind and called it off. In her prayer, Sophia thanks God for her mom and says that Grace really needs support, and assures her that God is there and that he loves her. So Grace becomes really emotional, and that is how the show ends. So what did you guys think about the whole Simone and Preston thing? Like, was she really that upset that the bishop didn't perform their ceremony? Because I know that there are people that get upset, like if the preacher don't come to the hospital, if the preacher ain't the one that baptized them, if the preacher, isn't the one that performs the eulogy at their mama's funeral. So people do have like that connection to the preacher, and they do get upset. But I've never seen anyone get upset to the point where they just refuse to get married. Like, they might get mad and go to another church and have their wedding, but to just call off the wedding and be that emotional, that just seemed a little irrational to me. But go ahead and leave your comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel, and you can do all of that below. And I will talk to you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.